Marantz PM82 stereo integrated amplifier from the early 90s, a high-end Marantz high-end kit from the early 90s. Let's find out what it sounds like. I've been comparing this to other amps I have, which I'll tell you about, and I'll give you the lowdown on what this thing delivers for you. First, let's just go in and have a look at some features here, because there's a couple of things that sort of, well, there's one thing that particularly makes you think, oh, this should be good. Yeah, in this case it's this button here, Class A. Yeah, now if you don't know, Class A is really accepted to be superior to Class B, let's say that. And there are amps they call Class AB, which start off in A and then go into B, but Class A, generally speaking, is a superior form of amplification. So we've got Class A, source direct, so that's cutting out your tone controls, mono button, subsonic filter, everything else fairly ordinary. Has got a phono stage with moving magnet or moving coil. You can switch from one to the other, and two sets of speakers at the back. As I say, 1993 this, and it weighs 17 kilograms. And if that's normally a good sign, you know, weight is normally, it shows you've got a heavy transformer at least, and other components. But anyway, let me go into it and I will tell you what this sounds like and do some comparisons, and I'll tell you what I think it's worth paying for, to be honest. Okay, let's do this sound quickly, then I'll go into detail. It's detailed, it's polite, it's fairly kind of restrained. It's not, if you read the distortion figures on this, it's literally something like 0.008, I think. You know, that's really low. And also the hertz, the frequency response is meant to be from 10 kilohertz to 100, which is extraordinarily large, or you don't normally get that. It doesn't really sound like it's going down to 10 hertz to me, you know. Anyway, so it's polite. Let me go into some songs, sorry, and this will give it to you in better detail. So listen to the song Gravity, Alison Krauss, nice country song, nice big bass notes on it. If you want to listen to that for the bass notes, it's a good track for sort of observing the bass on amps or speakers. It did it good. It presents it so well it can hardly go wrong. But it did it good, you know. It did the big bass. I could follow it nicely. Then I did a song, Sweetest Decline by Beth Orton. I do that song only because it's a super demanding song for a hi-fi. I'm actually sick to death of that song, right? I'm fed up of listening to it. But you play that, you will reveal things. So I did it, you know. And what did I get? I got a bit edgy vocals. Yes, I'm telling you how it is. I'm not sugarcoating it. I'll tell you exactly what sound you're going to get from these things. A bit edgy vocal in the middle. And I must say that this whole sound of this amp is similar to other Marantz, maybe from 10 years later, but it's kind of similar in that PM range. I think it's PM range. Well, I've had two of them and I never really liked them. They give the initial impression when you first turn it on and you go, yeah, I got detail, the bass is tight, it's kind of focused, you know. It gets a little too polite and controlled. Yeah. Now, I compared that to an Akai amplifier, and I'm going to tell you the name, and I have to run over there. 2 seconds. What is this amp? AM73. Yes. Akai AM73, which is from, I think, 1988 and is also around 100 watts. Now, even though this is Class A, it's not really doing what Class A should do or normally does in a dedicated Class A amplifier. And that Akai isn't Class A, but I would put the Akai a bit in front of this, a fair bit in front of this. The Akai would have better grip in the bass, in the low end, generally more space, just generally more air. And that's saying something, I would guess, because that Akai isn't really full of, the air isn't alive in that Akai like it is on some amps, you know. What else have I got to say about this one? So, yeah, I mean, what I want to say about this really is, this is an experience I've had before, which basically goes, this amp looks really good. It's got a Class A button. It's obviously aimed at the high end. It's a high end thing. It's probably quite expensive at the time. It's got a moving magnet, moving coil options. You know, it's aimed at the hi-fi person. It just doesn't really deliver. It's detailed, it's correctish, it's polite. It doesn't have the dynamics. It doesn't have, here's the thing, doesn't have anything specially good about it. That's kind of the point. That's kind of the point. Just doesn't do it. So I listen to this. I've been listening to amps all day today, and I listened to the Akai, and I was basically enjoying myself better on the Akai. The voice was giving me more emotion. It was just a fuller voice. It was a bit more in the room. This is polite and accurate. I mean, some people might like this sound, but it's just it's not my cup of tea. Let me say this. Let me say talk quickly about the phono stage. It's actually a bit of a surprise. It was very bright and very mid-rangey. I mean, bright and mid-range are fairly similar, but I was getting some extra detail in the mid-range that I wasn't used to getting, and I was sort of going, oh, I don't remember that bit being in that song, but I think it's just a bit over the top, you know. I mean, this period of time was really the heyday of CDs, you know, and often they put phono stages in things, late 80s, early 90s, I guess, and the phono stages really weren't any good. It was kind of an afterthought because it wasn't what everyone was doing at the time, you know. So, but I'm not saying that phono stage is terrible. It had a lot of detail, just had a kind of a mid-range emphasis, which I thought was too much. Not sort of dreadful and dull and lackluster, which can happen in some amps of that period where they just didn't care about the phono stage. So let's say this: how much would you pay? If someone said to me, I just bought this amp and it was 150, 200 pounds, 250 US dollars, well, I wouldn't say they'd done a bad thing. It's not bad because it is competent, it is powerful. Yeah, it's probably particularly not my cup of tea, you know. And yeah, if you ask me, do I want this? I'd say no. It doesn't give me what I'm looking for. It doesn't give me the emotion that I'm looking for. It is what the cliche is in the hi-fi magazine. It's a competent performer. Yeah, so you know they say that when it kind of is. It's all right. It's okay. Doesn't do anything great. Doesn't doesn't light any fires. It's they're all just sort of smoking. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Plenty more reviews on my channel and plenty more reviews coming up. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye now.